Are you an artist making art for other artists?
I don't care, frankly.
লোক তোমার মিউজিককে কি করে পারসিভ করবে আর করাও তুমি রাদার?
To be very, very frank, I don't think of the audience. I just think of myself.
Being recognized and being appreciated for who you are never really left you.
I don't want the appreciation because I'm playing, but I would like my music to be appreciated.
You are tired of people saying that you sound exactly like Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, yeah, man. I lost it a couple of times.
তোমার দিন শুরু হয় কি করে on a regular basis?
I wake up late. I mean, I get up off bed late. তারপরে I just do my whatever, and my first thing is have a glass of water.
আচ্ছা, সকালবেলা
That starts me up, kind of thing. ওইটা তারপরে have a regular breakfast. Or before, I never used to have breakfast, and then off late take to breakfast করি. Normal.
আর তুমি যে আমাকে বলছিলে যে তুমি উঠে থেকে তারপরে you take a moment to wake up.
Yeah.
And you have composed songs within that period of time.
Yeah.
So how does that happen? ওটা তুমি কি করে করো?
When people ask me when do you get up, I actually wake up about 6:30ish, roughly. But I get up off bed 9:30 sometimes. You know, if I had a late night, even later. So then my brain starts working, and then in my sleep I got my eyes closed, but I get structures and mechanics of music and ideas and titles. And then that idea, when I get ready, I start my office, what I call office, at about 10:30. Then
তোমার বাড়িতেই এটা?
হ্যাঁ, মানে on my bed.
আচ্ছা,
My office is my bed.
তো তোমার গিটারটা কি তোমার পাশেই থাকে?
I've got used to have about 11 guitars around my bed, so that wherever my hand goes, there's a guitar.
একটা গিটার আছে সব সময়।
But now, অতটা নেই, I've got about 2-3 guitars around that. So, you know, I start playing or whatever, and then একটা আমার খুব confusion হয় যে এখন off late যে should I practice some electric stuff?
তুমি যে বলছো practice, okay.
Yeah.
What do you practice? Well, I'm sure তুমি কি বসে scales practice তো করো না?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
মানে extensively, মানে scales বাজাও?
Extensively, yes.
মানে কিন্তু তোমার পারসেপশন অফ স্কেলস নিয়ে তো 4টে ভিডিও আছে ইউটিউবে।
Yes.
তো তুমি যখন স্কেল বাজাও তুমি কি মানে ওই প্রথাগতভাবে সারেগামা পাধা নিসা বাজাও?
That is a very muscular practice, you know, just to get your work. And in our age, আমাদের বয়সে, it takes a longer time to warm up. Before I used to warm up 20 minutes, half an hour, I would get my chops up. Now I need, mentally and emotionally, the whole thing about 3.5-4 hours before a gig to get into the level. The problem is the higher you go, the more it takes to be there, you know, get there.
মানে also be there on a physical level, মানে এরকম না যে শুধুমাত্র মেন্টাল,
even yeah, physical also, yes. All your muscles, you know, not working like I was 20 years back or something like that. So it takes a little bit time to kind of really get on that. So I practice regular scales, and then maybe skip a note or two, you know, see how it sounds, you know, more what's the word, innovative, not innovative,
ইনোভেটিভ কথাটা একদম ভালো লাগে না।
creative way.
How do you define originality তোমার কাছে কি?
It's like how you and I are both humans, but we look different, we behave different. That is the originality, you know. There could be 10,000 musicians or 15,000 guitar players, but the real game, each one really sounds different.
But how do you perceive it as far as music is concerned? How do you take this extension? এত সোজাভাবে তুমি বোঝালে যে তোমাকে আমাকে আলাদা দেখতে, দ্যাট ইজ অরিজিনালিটি, অ্যান্ড ইটস ট্রু। কিন্তু এই এত সহজ জিনিসটা তুমি মিউজিকে ট্রান্সলেট করো কি করে, বা তোমার আর্টে ট্রান্সলেট করো কি করে?
See, firstly, you have to study the language deeply for years. You have to kind of sweet surrender to the art form, you know, like, and then you can see what mechanisms are there, how it's working. You can be a blues player, for example. There are thousands of blues players, but each one sounds Buddy Guy to B.B. King to Albert King to, you know, Freddie King. Everyone sounds different. Why? Because their expression is there. You can have 12 notes, but time is elastic. When you're phrasing, the time is different from one note to the other note. See, in my mind, and many big people have said also, you don't really hear the notes. As a pitch, you hear the note. But as a musical behavior, you hear the traveling of the note. You know what I mean? যে একটা নোট থেকে আর একটা নোট যখন you're kind of going through a little passage, that behavior. See, if I play this rhythm, can you identify the tune?
Tongue like that. Yeah.
You almost sang it. The most sang song in the world. Happy birthday.
Okay.
So you identify with the rhythm. I mean, you can take the same rhythm and play other notes. It won't be happy birthday anymore.
কিন্তু একটা ইস্যু আমার এটা নিয়ে, সেটা হচ্ছে যে তুমি বলছো যে তুমি জিনিসটাকে টেকনিক্যালি জিনিস দেখছো।
Can I interrupt? It's not technical. That's the language.
আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ।
Yeah.
So I'm just talking about, say, there are also facets of language, right? এবারে I don't mean this as like মানে as an কোনো খারাপ ভাবে বলছি না।
No, of course.
আমি তোমাকে না, আমি যেটা বলতে চলেছি সেটা।
Okay.
There are 100 classical players or 1000 classical players যারা ধরো they have ওদের whole flexes the prowess of the language that they have. However, they don't really sound original, right? তোমার মিউজিকের মধ্যে একটা ডমিনেটিং সেন্স অফ সেলফ আছে, যেই মিউজিকটা অমিত দত্ত, রাইট? এইটা তো টেকনিক্যাল প্রাওয়েস বা তোমার ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের প্রাওয়েসে আমি শুধু ভালো কথা বলতে পারলে যে আমি আমার মতন করে কথা বলতে পারবো সেটা তো নয়। এইটা তুমি কি করে ডেভেলপ করেছো?
I think it's your personality also. It's see, music or any art form or even painting or story writing or movie making is only a reflection of your thoughts. And once you put it down clearly on a piece of paper, people say that's theory, that's technical, that's grammar. No, it is just personality. It's put down on black and white. So my personality is I'm going to go as deep as possible within me to find myself every day in a new way.
এইটা কি করে করো তুমি?
It's like a deep inward.
Do you have a ritual?
No, I don't do anything. I'm a non-believer. I have no beliefs at all. But the third eye is very active for me.
আচ্ছা।
And it's very inward. You know, it sounds very big, deep and philosophical, but that's the only part.
No, but a huge part of your music it's dominated by philosophy. Especially তুমি যে টাইপের মিউজিকটা করো, এবং তোমার এক্সটেনশন অফ অমিত দত্ত ইলেকট্রিক বলো বা তোমার নিজের মিউজিক বলো বা ইভেন ইউর ওয়ার্ক উইথ স্কিনিয়ান, সেইখানে তো তোমার সেন্স অফ সেলফটাই সব জায়গায় ড্রাইভ করে বা ডমিনেট করে।
Yes.
তো ওইটাকে তুমি বার করে এনে এবং তুমি তিনটে জায়গায় তো তিন রকম বাজাচ্ছ, রাইট? তুমি তোমার অমিত দত্ত যেটা স্পটিফাইতে অ্যাভেলেবল, ইয়োর 3 অ্যালবামস, ওখানটা আলাদা, তোমার স্কিনিয়ালির বাজানোটা আলাদা। তো তোমার প্রত্যেকটা জায়গায় দের আর এক্সটেনশনস অফ ইয়োর সেলফ।
Correct.
আমাকে একটা জিনিস বলো, তুমি কি মিউজিক বানানোর জন্য মিউজিক ভাবো?
Good question. Very good question. Not in the beginning. But once I get a seed of that story or philosophical idea, or I could just okay, I'll give you an explanation. Many tunes I write just because I get a title.
Because you have weird titles.
Yeah.
তোমার গানের নামও খুব অদ্ভুত।
Yeah. So a title thing, and I try and explain the title by playing something that, to my mind, explains the title. You know, secretive or melancholia or dark with an excitement. The problem is instrumental music. The moment you sing vocals, I mean, you have vocals, straight away you connect because there are words and people understand words. But when you're playing instrumental, only like you, a person like a musician might get my music because we are talking the same language. And very often, instruments music can describe much deeper thought than a word can explain. Word sometimes is very weak.
Absolutely, cool.
Language
destroys.
Yeah.
Language
and it's very weak. It doesn't really, like red, lal. You know, a normal person will say this guy is wearing a red t-shirt. But for me, straight away said, what is the red? Is it a blood red, tomato red, ruby red, scarlet red, rose red? You know, these are all like finer lines in between, and there are in between also. You know, so that's that finer. You know, the art is called fine art.
It is called, oh nice, yeah. At the end of the day, the art is called fine.
Yeah, so you got to respect that and you got to put that effect. So for me, it's just a day, a normal day, you know, whether I'm thinking deeply or not, it's just my thought. You know, it's just my thought.
আচ্ছা, এই যে ধরো তোমার এই চয়েসটা, you have made a choice, যেটা তুমি বললে যে it's very important to know the language.
Yeah.
Right. Are you an artist making music for or making art for other artists?
I don't care, frankly. I don't make music for people out who are watching me. I do it for myself.
But then why do you go up on stage and perform it?
I want to put the energy out there and see what they sing. And luckily for me, they liked it also. In a pseudo way or deep way, I don't really care also. I just want to play.
সেটা তো তোমার হাতে না।
Yeah, exactly. And also I like the energy of playing to people. And it's also I also like sometimes people ask me, why do you make so difficult things? Because you're getting yourself into trouble. And I like the challenges. I like to know that, oh gosh, you know what, I tell you something. When I go in the loo, I write many ideas and tunes in the loo without the instrument.
When you say you're writing it, তুমি কি মাথায় লিখছো নাকি তুমি?
Before I used to write in music, and sometimes I take a piece of paper and a small little pencil.
সেটা তোমার সাথে থাকে?
Yeah. Not every day, but sometimes.
Yes.
And now the phone, And then I come out and then on the plane, on a boarding, I've got many boarding passes full of music written, So, and then I come back and then I said, I can't even play it. So it challenged me, but I like the line. So I practice for 2 hours, 3 hours or 1 week or something to get it. So I up my game that way. So I like challenges and to overcome them. So I'm always, even at this stage of my life, I'm trying to uplift myself as an artist.
হ্যাঁ, মানে সেটা তো তোমার মিউজিকটাই প্রচন্ডভাবে চ্যালেঞ্জিং ফর অ্যাজ আ পারফর্মার অ্যান্ড অলসো আই উড নট সে ইটস চ্যালেঞ্জিং অ্যাজ এ লিসেনার। তোমার কি মনে হয় যে তোমার মিউজিকটা যদি কেউ গিভ ইন করে দেয়, যে যদি কেউ জাস্ট অ্যাজ আ শ্রোতা হিসেবে শুনতে আসে, মানে দ্যাট পারসন ইজ গোয়িং টু হ্যাভ আ বেটার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স দেন এ মিউজিশিয়ান?
ফর শিওর।
কারণ কি তুমি তো তোমার গল্পগুলো বলছো, এবং সেই গল্পগুলো তো কোনো একটা জায়গায় তোমার গোটা জীবনের গল্পটা তো, মানে if you have to paint a canvas depicting your entire life, I don't think it's going to be a single image.
Absolutely.
Right. সেটাই তোমার অ্যালবামসে বেরোচ্ছে।
Exactly. The sounds of Calcutta.
Right.
It's the sounds of...
how much does the city play into your music?
Not consciously, but I'm sure it must be making my thought alteration. Like I hate driving now because it's unnecessary horns, and it takes me like I become like a 15-year-old guy who's screaming like that in my head. It's so annoying because people are honking for nothing, really constantly. But that's probably his altering my thoughts also. That disturbance. You go to New York streets, it's the same. You go to Europe and Italy or whatever it is, and it's like, wow, and that also alters. And then you come back and then he said, then what comes out naturally from the product of all this traveling and listening and being open to signals that is feeding your thoughts. Growing up, the way your mom or your parents treated you and what they fed you, what they made you listen. It's all a big factory of that. And you're hopefully a product of that. And thoughtfully, in mind, and then physically got to be up there to be able to present it on your instrument.
How has Kolkata changed or shaped you? And which phase of Kolkata do you remember most dearly? And which phase of Kolkata? Obviously, with you as the epicenter here. The city is in the background, right? কোন এরাটাকে তুমি সব থেকে ফন্ডলি রিমেম্বার করো? কোন এরাটাকে তোমার একদম সহ্য হয় না?
There are segments. Obviously, I like the when I was 15 or 16, because I was trying to just get into bands, and the first chord 3 of us played was wow, what is this, and that kind of thing. It could be just somebody's terrace, but that joy, that inner enlightenment, that wakes you up. So that I remember, and not that I'm trying to consciously remember, but it's just been remembered, And then Skinny Harry time was fantastic, and that was a party for me for 35 years, every day. Playing music, traveling, having a cup of coffee, couple of beers, talking music with good musician friends. It's fantastic. Writing together, that was great. And now of late, I'm kind of beginning to enjoy this whole traveling of writing and getting my own voice up on the platform in whatever way that we can in Calcutta, staying in Calcutta, India, or whatever. Not even Bombay. So yeah, the thing is, my religion is to carry on what your beliefs are, and forget the rest. It's not in your hand. You're gonna trip, you're gonna complain, you're gonna feel good, sometimes feel bad. You got to be beyond that. You got to be beyond that.
Gabuda asks a very important question তোমাকে, and this question is coming from Gabuda. Gabudaকে আমি জিজ্ঞেস করেছিলাম, Gabuda বলেছে, at what juncture or at what point did music choose you? Because you're not a normal musician, ঠিক আছে, মানে in the sense that I'll tell you what that is, in the sense that art for art's sake খুব কম লোকে করে, খুব কম লোকে করতে পারে, and what history says is that there is an association of eccentricity and madness with people like this. The Romantics were people who did art for art's sake. The jazz guys. So at what juncture? Because you are also a prochondo flamboyant, a prochondo diverse, unique guitar player. You could have easily been there on stage doing guitarist things and getting guitarist perks, which you still do. It's not like you don't. But you chose music for the sake of music, or rather what Gabuda asks is, when did music choose you?
Well, I don't know exactly when, but I do remember one thing. When I was probably 7 years old, and my youngest uncle used to play guitar, like, just play guitar, not to
Just
me.
মজার জন্য, just as a hobby.
Just on, maybe he didn't touch the guitar for 3 months. There was a guitar lying, I remember, is an acoustic Czechoslovakian Hawaiian guitar lying in the hall room, and in those days, and we lived in a
Joint family,
in the old house, a huge big house, and we would all play around and all that. And customarily in the evening, the whole family would sit in the hall room and kind of chit chat, you know what I mean? And then we and my brother would just play around. And this guitar, without a couple of strings, I don't remember which strings, were on a chair lying like this. And I remember crawling up to the guitar, and I just played the 4th string. I still remember 4th string. And I believe me, I still have the feeling. I touch the feeling. The tension of the 4th string and the doom sound. And something went through me. He said, maybe this is what you should do all your life. This is what I want to do.
And that's at a choto একটা incident.
Yeah, and that 7-year-old, you don't think like this is the career, wow, risk. No, you're just full of endorphins, and you just decided you're free as hell. No, kids are the hippest and the coolest people, the kids. And they just, that kid, the 7-year-old kid, whoever it was, decided that this is what I want to be, if I could. And I still have that feeling. I could relive that feeling every moment. That 4th string.
Wow.
Touching, and I'm playing with the first finger. I played that. That probably decided. I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly when God decided, but it was chosen for me. That's what,
তুমি কি জ্যাজ? আমি তোমার মিউজিককে জ্যাজ বলছি না, আমি তোমাকে বলছি, তুমি কি জ্যাজ?
Well, if jazz is improvising, yes.
তুমি তো গান লিখছো, right? You have entire albums. Now you cannot say that it stemmed in improvisation, because a gun is a gun.
Yep.
And when you're playing that song, even if you're playing it differently, it still needs to have ছোট ছোট portions যেটা রিমেম্বার করাবে তোমার। তো সেখানে তো তুমি ইম্প্রোভাইজ করছো না, সেখানে তো তুমি স্ট্রাকচার লিখছো, তোমার স্ট্রাকচার, সেই স্ট্রাকচারটা কি আমি জানি না, বাট সেইখানে কি তুমি নিজেকে একটা জ্যাজ গাই বলবে?
I don't call myself a jazz guy.
Why?
Just to give you the first part of the answer, jazz musicians are conventionally stamped as, you got to know 100, 200, 300 standards like in your head and play, call the key out and I play, which is fine also. That's great. I'm not into that. And I love that music, and I can play. When I was young, I studied all that harmony and the standards and all, but now I don't, because there are, it's just not my, I love it. I wish I could play that well, but I don't play it that well, but I can
as per your own standards, you don't, but as far as our standards, you can, more than অনেক, আর কি বলবো তোমাকে, বলো।
Yeah, but when you're saying the structural part of it, when you're structuring,
তোমার গানের স্ট্রাকচার বলছি।
See, I tell you something, when you're writing a tune, is improvising at a slow speed. when you're improvising and you're composing at a higher speed. So both are actually improvisation.
আরেকবার জিনিসটা ঠিক
See,
বলো।
see you said no, when you're composing, you write the tune and then you kind of improvise.
মানে পোর্শনস অফ দ্য টিউন থাকে যেটা
Yeah.
তোমাকে ফেরত আনতে হয়
Yeah.
টু কল ইট আ সং।
Yeah, but that song is being composed. And when you're composing, you're improvising your thoughts in a slow speed. So you're still improvising. And when you actually, what people say, improvising, and I'm composing at a higher speed.
মানে ইউর কম্পোজিং এট দ্য হায়ার স্পিড, মানে তুমি সেই মুহূর্তে দাঁড়িয়ে
That's correct.
জিনিসটাকে ওই জন্য তুমি হায়ার স্পিড বলছো।
Correct.
হায়ার স্পিড মানে থিঙ্কিং।
It's like firing. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Firing.
তোমার শোতে একটা খুব মজার জিনিস হয় জানো তো, তোমার শোতে তুমি একটা লাইন বাজাও, ঠিক আছে, হোয়াট এভার দ্যাট লাইন মাইট বি, অ্যান্ড দেন ইউ গেট ইন টু আ সার্টেন কাইন্ড অফ স্টোরি টেলিং। আমি স্টোরি টেলিংই বলবো, উইচ ইজ বেসিক্যালি ইম্প্রোভাইজেশন।
Right.
And people are lost in that, and at moments your show becomes খুব অদ্ভুতভাবে একটা স্ট্যান্ড আপ পারফরমেন্স, বিকজ ওই লাইনটা যখন ফেরত আসে ইট ইভোকস লাফটার ইন পিপল। আমি দেখেছি লোকজন ইজ লাইক ইয়েস আই ফাইনালি গেট ইট, এই তো এখানে ফিরে এসেছে।
Yeah.
সো ডু ইউ লাইক দিস ফিলিং when people, বা অ্যাসোসিয়েশনটা তুমি কিভাবে তোমার মিউজিকের সাথে অডিয়েন্সকে তো তুমি ড্রাইভ করো, রাইট? তুমি একটা অন্য জায়গায় চলে যাচ্ছ, তুমি ইচ্ছে করে কয়েকটা জিনিস বাজাচ্ছ না যেটা লোকে এক্সপেক্ট করছে, এবং ডিসোনেন্সটাকে আমি আলাদা করে বলবো না, কারণ কি ডিসোনেন্স ইজ আ পার্ট অফ ইউর মিউজিক, ইটস অ্যান এক্সটেনশন অফ ইউর মিউজিক। তো তুমি লোক তোমার মিউজিককে কি করে পারসিভ করবে আর করাও তুমি রাদার লোককে।
To be very, very frank, I don't think of the audience. I just think of myself. Like if I was listening to myself. See, we all hopefully have two people, the player and the listener.
Hopefully, yeah.
So the listener is always, and you are your first listener.
Yeah.
So if that listener is demanding stuff, then the musician has to deliver those things. So I keep that perspective in mind. See, that's an art. Art in generally like that, doesn't really give you something very obvious. I state a tune, and then when the audience thinks, oh, that's the tune, I take it somewhere else. So they come along.
But এটা তুমি ইচ্ছে করে করো।
Yeah, that's
চল আমার সাথে চলায়।
Yeah, of course. Because I'm the captain of the ship at those 2 hours, and then they take, and then I don't drop them in the water. I kind of pick them up and I bring them home.
যে এই তো এটা জানো তো।
That's correct. And then they realize, oh, so if you open up your mind, you know it, but you were blind then. You were not opening your mind or your eyes. So if you go, what I call a clean slate, come to my gig or similar gig, where come with a clean slate.
মানে কিছু না ভেবে এসো,
Yeah.
and you will leave with a flurry of emotions.
With the impression the artist have written.
মানে আমি তোমাকে লাস্ট শোতে বলেছিলাম জানো তো, যে আই হ্যাভ নোন ইউ বেটার থ্রু ইয়োর সংস অ্যান্ড থ্রু ইয়োর লাইভ পারফরমেন্স দেন আই হ্যাভ এভার নোন ইউ অ্যাজ আ পার্সন। মানে সেই এক্সটেনশনসে, বিকজ যখন তোমার শোতে গিয়ে আমি তোমাকে শুনি, এবং যখন আই লিভ দ্য মিউজিশিয়ান পার্ট অফ মি, বিকজ দ্য মিউজিশিয়ান পার্ট অফ মি ফিলস মানে গ্রোসলি ইলিটারেট এট ইয়োর শো, ঠিক আছে, এটা কিছু সো আই ওয়াজ লাইক মাইট অ্যাজ ওয়েল লিভ হিম এট দ্য ডোর, ঠিক আছে। অ্যান্ড ওয়েন আই ওয়াক ইন অ্যান্ড আই হিয়ার ইয়োর মিউজিক, এই যে তুমি যেটা বললে, এবং এইটাতে না তোমার মিউজিক্যাল জার্নিটাকে আমার শক্ত লাগে না। মানে আমি তোমাকে সোজা কথা বলছি, কারণ কি আমি কখনোই এই প্রেশারটা নিই না যে আমাকে তোমার মতন হতে হয়। আমি শুধু ভাবি যে তুমি যে গল্পটা বলছো সেই গল্পটা কিভাবে কোথায় কানেক্ট করছো, এবং তুমি কিন্তু কানেক্ট করো। সো দ্যাট ইজ ওয়্যার ইট মানে হ্যাজ স্ট্রাকচার। বাট ওয়েন ইউ আর রাইটিং সংস, বা তুমি যখন একটা অ্যালবামে জিনিসপত্র ফেলছো, মানে অ্যান অ্যালবাম লাইক অ্যাম্বিয়েন্স ডে ডান্স, রাইট, যেটা স্পটিফাইয়ে আছে, সেই অ্যালবাম লেখাটার ওই অ্যালবামের ফিলসফিটা কি, বা তোমার পিয়েট্রা ডিউরা বলে যে অ্যালবামটা আছে সে, বা রেড প্লান্ট বলে অন্য অ্যালবামটা যেটা আছে, এই তিনটে অ্যালবামের ড্রাইভিং ফোর্স একটা করে বলো তুমি, ফিলসফিটা কি, ড্রাইভিং ফিলসফি?
See, it's a sonic picture of my thoughts.
Bah. It's a sonic picture of your thoughts. And where are these thoughts stemming from?
Like we discussed earlier, the travels and the scene and the noises and the music that happened at home. Like my mom used to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning when I was 5 or 6, because there was a concert Indian music concert happening in my hall room in my house. So all the ustads will come and do a concert with all the chandeliers and all that. So we can wake up, chal concert balach. So I would come and listen. I'm not an Indian music, but that sensibility has been planted in me because of my heritage or my mom. I don't know, but
Family, experiences, friends,
exactly,
life.
life
everything.
and openness of your mind.
তুমি যখন একটা নতুন ব্যান্ড শোনো, বা তুমি যখন একটা নতুন ধরনের মিউজিক শোনো,
Right.
কোনো একটা জায়গায় তো তোমার কিছু বায়াসেস আছে, আদারওয়াইজ তো তুমি আর্টিস্টই নো।
Yeah.
মানে ইফ ইউ আর অ্যান আর্টিস্ট, আই বিলিভ, মানে দিস ইজ জাস্ট এ পার্সোনাল ওপিনিয়ন দো, বাট কিছু স্ট্রং ওপিনিয়ন্স থাকতে হবে
Sure.
যে এটা ঠিক, এটা ভুল।
Yes.
এটা তো সেইখানে তুমি মানে তুমি সেই ওপেননেসটাকে কি করে গার্নার করো?
See, people, there's a little. I've heard people say, "This is art. I could have my opinion. You can have yours."
Yeah.
But then you're defeating the whole logic of learning something.
এক্স্যাক্টলি।
So if I'm more educated or you're more educated than me, I mean, then you kind of spend your life studying it. You have more authority and rights to critique a piece of music than me. I could just go up, গানটা খুব ভালো লেগেছে, and all গলাটা খুব ভালো, but you might hear Bob Dylan. Someone said, "This guy is not a singer." Yeah, sure. In technical terms, Mariah Carey and Bob Dylan, they are not, but you can still identify Bob Dylan's inflections. You might not have to play because he sings a lot of bum notes anyway.
Exactly.
But his behavior, take what you have to. You know what I mean? So from that place, I am in my mind very critical because I'm not pretending it. I can hear the language of music is not spoken. See, a band is a band, not because they're four of them standing on stage together and they're having coffee or smoking up together. No. Or they're playing music. No. Are they speaking the language of music?
And that's where the connect comes from. ওই জন্যই irrespective of how bad or good a member might be, ওই চারজন ছাড়া হবে না,
Correct.
রাইট? ওই জন্য ব্যান্ডসরা ডিসব্যান্ড করেছে। দ্যাটস দ্য
Yeah.
রিজন।
Yeah.
তোমার তো প্রত্যেকটা গানের একটা জার্নি আছে। তুমি এই 5টা গান নিয়ে একটা অ্যালবাম বানাও কি করে? একটা অ্যালবামেরও তো ফিলসফি থাকে,
Of course.
বিকজ অ্যাম্বিয়েন্স ডে ডান্স ইজ ওয়ান সাউন্ড।
Yeah.
সো এই ট্রেন অফ থটটাকে তুমি মেনটেন করো কি করে?
See, when you have the thoughts, it's coming out of the same personality, you know? So it kind of weaves itself to that whole thing, and then you draw a timeline and said, okay, 5 is enough or 8 is enough. for
যে
this.
এই অবধি আমি কথাটা বলবো।
Yeah.
এই যে তুমি এই যে কথাগুলো এত লুসিডলি, এত সোজাভাবে বলছো, যে এইটা গার্নার করার জন্য তো প্রচন্ড স্কিল লাগে। মানে and everybody is not as talented as you, and you know you are a teacher.
I'm a teacher.
So if you are a teacher, you know the fact that everybody is not cut out to do what you have done, right? And this is a realization or a bane in every teacher's life.
Yeah.
সো তুমি তোমার স্টুডেন্টসদেরকে যখন দেখো, এই যে অ্যামাউন্ট অফ কি বলবো, যে গ্র্যাটিফিকেশন আর এই যে অ্যামাউন্ট অফ এক্সপ্রেশন, এইটা তোমার মতো না হতে পারলেও হোয়াট ক্যান সামবডি ডু টু গেট অ্যাজ ক্লোজ টু ইট অ্যাজ পসিবল?
I think a sense of, in a way, a sense of thoughtlessness. You know, I mean, not literally, not thoughtlessness. Meaning, those issues, drive them away from your mind. Just do it. And that's the only focus. It's like, you know, it's like people say, watch your breath. You're doing yoga, watch your breath. You know, if you play guitar for 6 hours, what you're doing is focusing. And you're fine-tuning your inner instincts for the future, for your art. So for the student, I would think, see, it's music or any art form, especially music, is very ruthless.
Yeah.
You might spend 30 years of your life and then just finally realize that you don't have it at the level, of course. You'll go there, some place you'll go, but not at the level. So it's very ruthless. It doesn't come easy, It's like, I think one of the greatest composers said, if you have to take a bath in the ocean, you have to go to the ocean.
Yeah.
Don't let the ocean come to you because it's tsunami, then you're dead. So music is like that. You got to play music in that deepest form. You got to go there.
Wow.
So for me, it's just another day for me. I come here, I'm gone back, and I'm already chucked out what I feel like playing today. And it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's just another day for me.
How did you let go of recognition? You were at an era, you are famous. You are known. Man, you were known for something else, right? You were known as this amazing guitar player to becoming a musician, sort of a philosopher that tells stories through guitar. একটা জায়গায় তুমি স্টেজে উঠে যখন জিমি হেন্ড্রিক্স বাজাতে সেইটাতেও তুমি ফাটিয়েছো, এখন যখন তুমি নিজের মিউজিক স্টেজে উঠে বাজাচ্ছ সেটাতেও তুমি ফাটাচ্ছ, রাইট? সো রেকগনিশনটা কতটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট তোমার কাছে, বা তোমার রকমের রেকগনিশনটা কি?
You mean recognition as in popular wise?
একটা সময় তো ছিল, একটা সময় তো ইউ ওয়ার আ পার্ট অফ Shiva, right?
Yeah.
And Shiva was the biggest thing that had happened from this part of the country. So you had toured India,
Yep.
you had the glitz and the glamour.
Very much.
ওই সময় একদমই ওই সময়টা, and there are stories about you where, as I said, that you have become a legend কোনো একটা জায়গায়. তো ওই রেকগনিশনটা তো তুমি পেয়েছো, এবং ওই রেকগনিশনটায় লোকে আটকে যায়, ওই রেকগনিশনটা লোকে ছাড়তে পারে না। তুমি সেখানে বলেছো যে না, আমি এটা করব না, এবং আমি এখান থেকে বেরিয়ে এসে এই জার্নিটা পারসু করব যেখানে ওই প্রথাগতভাবে রেকগনিশনটা প্রায় নেই। লোকে মানে তোমার শোতে, your shows are always houseful, but the houseful show has 300 people.
Right.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
But ওইখানে তুমি you know that everybody is come to listen. এই প্যারিটিটা বা এই যে ডিসিশনটা, এটা কবে নিলে এবং কেন নিলে, কিভাবে নিলে?
You know, it's a natural growth. I mean, Shiva was, of course, is part of that journey, and you're growing up and also experience. And the best thing I learned from that band was stage etiquette. You know, how to become a big personality on stage, how to use that 60 feet or 80 feet stage that we have, how to handle 10,000 people. We used to regular gigs, college gigs, we used to travel 6,000-7,000 at the least. So you got to, and there were some people in Pune and Bombay sometimes, and even Bangalore. They were hostile people, man. They're young, drunk, young guys who's free and no one.
Young guys in the 80s and the 90s were
Manipal
ruthless.
and all that. There were carpets of glass and bottles broken, and they were like yelling at you, and then you had to go and tame them if you are playing. And the same guys touching your feet after the gig. So all that learning, got to become like, you got to be like,
Yeah, I know.
so you got to, that image you have to project, you have to kind of not pretend it, but you have to prove it.
তোরা ছেড়ে দিতে কষ্ট হয়নি?
Not at all. I miss the regularity of the stage, but my the real thirst for growth as a musician is so strong that that keeps me alive. Every day I'll try and find something else, and try and find something.
But you are looking for your gang, right? In the sense that তোমার যে 300টা লোক তোমার অডিয়েন্সে আসে, they are your gang, because ওরা এতটাই ক্লোজ তোমার মিউজিকের সাথে, এবং ওরা ডেডিকেটেডলি তোমাকে শুনতে আসে,
Right.
so you are always in pursuit of an audience. So can we say that কোনো একটা জায়গায় that idea of being recognized and being appreciated for who you are never really left you?
I don't want the appreciation because I'm playing, but I would like my music to be appreciated.
That's, I think, তুমি এমন জায়গায় নিজের মিউজিকটাকে নিয়ে গেছো এবং নিজেকে নিয়ে গেছো, I don't think they are distinguishable.
Yeah, and also it's not an easy feat. I mean, they take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to appreciate that. It's like, it reminds me of this Frank Zappa gig in a house full, and he started abusing very filthily. So everyone left. 3 people came, 3 people remained, and they called them to the front row, 3 or 4 people, and they sat, and he played a 4-hour concert for them.
ওটাই আমার অডিয়েন্স।
So he filtered out, So I'm not saying I'm like, but I just keep quietly doing my thing, and I hope that people come and listen for the art, and at least, especially the students, or who can at least widen their imagination that music also can be like this. Just the other day I did a concert with this beautiful saxophone player, Martin Visser from Netherlands. Just me and him, nothing. And it was completely improvised. We knew each other for many years. But we just had a coffee and said, let's play, and we just played. And no song, no standards, nothing, just improvised.
Just নিজের মতন করে
Yeah.
just two guys having fun on stage.
Having, yeah, exactly, and spending that 1 hour, 90 minutes on stage together. So some people, some students told my other students that I didn't know this could also be music.
It could also be done.
Done, exactly. So what I'm saying is, you pop their eyes up, open. You know, even that one guy opens their eyes, it's good for me, because my community as a musician is one more guy.
Yeah. Oh wow. My community as a musician is one more guy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's deep and it's beautiful. তুমি জিনিসগুলো এত সুন্দর করে explain করছো.
Yeah. But that's how it is, reality. Shoma. That's how it is, you know. I mean, I used to play cover music, which is, of course, a learning thing. And people say, wow, I used to kind of think myself, he's actually not clapping at my playing, he's clapping at that
তুমি
song.
বলেছিলে you had an interview where you were tired of people saying that you sound exactly like Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, yeah, man. I lost it a couple of times. You know? And people might think, someone's telling you Jimi Hendrix and you're not satisfied. I'm a little bit of an arrogant guy that way, but not, I love Jimi Hendrix. I love
But
Jimi.
do you think that's arrogance? I mean, if I
It's an artistic arrogance, which is good. We are all narcissists, I believe.
এই যে জার্নি টু বি ডিফারেন্ট, এইটা কি স্টেমড ইয়োর হোল প্রপালশন ইন্টু নো আই হ্যাভ টু সার্চ ফর মাই সেলফ, নইলে আমি এই রাতটায় ফেসে যাবো and I will be stuck playing Jimi Hendrix to the T for the rest of my life?
Half of it is right, but my approach was not that I got to be different, but my approach was finding myself in a deeper level. And that, like I said, we both look and talk differently. Even we talk the same topic, but we still sound
Completely different.
So, in order to find myself, I still find myself every day in a new way. You know what I mean? In order to find, in that finding myself journey, could have made me slightly different from others.
What are your guilty pleasures? তোমার মানে from an outsider's perspective, তোমার যে perceptionটা sounds very taxing in the sense that প্রচন্ড ভাবনা আছে.
Yeah.
But at some point of time, you need to let your brain just switch off. And so, what would you consider your guilty pleasure to be? You just close all the doors and windows and jam on Hendrix for like 15 minutes, and then like.
I could. I mean, if you can, after the interview, we can go out and set up, and I can fly on that. I love it. But that is over a cup of coffee. But when I'm going to play my stuff, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to maybe take a influence from a Hendrix C kind of thing and then do it. But not exactly. But here, sure, you know, McLaughlin, Jimi Hendrix, and I not off late. I stopped listening to music really.
Music শুনছো না?
Yeah, I've stopped listening to music, and I listen to music like slightly not, you know, Schoenberg and me and Jivraj, we are into that now a lot.
What are you into?
There's a guy called Edgar Varese.
Edgar Varese.
A guy called John Cage. Then a guy called Schoenberg, Stockhausen. They are like avant-garde, new music. You know what they call music. Not that I want to play that music all my life, but that also kind of seeping into my music a bit. You know, like kind of. Have you heard this called noise guitar? This thing called noise guitar. A guy called Mark Ribot. You know. So there's a lot of influences, and it's stretching music, and music is large enough to take under its umbrella a lot of ideas. So when I'm standing now at my age or my whatever, you know, that in that philosophy of what was outside yesterday is inside today, and what's outside today is going to be inside tomorrow. But only artistic expression, not anything at all.
Only artistic expression.
Yeah. Otherwise, not anything. That means you're defeating the fact of learning something. That means anything at all, and it could be an art out of an accident, sure. But there has to be some kind of artistic vision to it, you know. And that's sometimes very, very hard to explain by words.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very difficult to perceive as well.
Yeah.
Acha, retro guessing,
Yeah.
change is the scene.
Yeah.
1995,
Yeah.
right? তো সেই সময় তুমি দুজনের সাথে দেখা করলে, who had a crazy influence on you, right? Both Jayashree Singh and Gyan Singh came into your life,
Yeah.
and you were inspired to, তুমি এটা তোমার অনেক ইন্টারভিউতে বলেছো
Of
যে,
course.
and তোমার major life decisions to even taking on teaching as a career, যে তোমাকে এটা শেখাতে হবে, also somewhere came from Jayashree ma'am.
Oh, yes.
So তোমার ওদের সাথে জার্নিটা, and it's a complete journey in the truest sense of the term. How do you reflect on it? What parts of it have you kept with you? What parts of it have you just ছেড়ে দিয়েছো?
It's a longish kind of explanation. But do we have time?